publicist and writer, content producer, director. I am a woman of many titles.
What's your favorite thing about the woman in the mirror?
I think my favorite thing about the woman in the mirror right now is that I don't know. My favorite thing about me at this present point in my life is that nothing seems to be able to hold me down. As much as sometimes it seems very possible that, the chips are down, I'm down and out, nothing ever manages to properly kill me. And I think that's my favorite thing, that I'm perseverant to a degree.
What's your least favorite thing about the woman in the mirror?
I suspect my least favorite thing is exactly the same, that I'm perseverant. Sometimes it is valuable to just give up. Sometimes knowing when to walk away is important, and I haven't cultivated that skill well enough yet.
What's the first thing the woman in the mirror does when she wakes?
The first thing I do when I wake up is check my phone. I know we're not supposed to. We're supposed to take this time to align and like ourselves a little bit more, but the world is moving and I gotta know what's been happening while I was asleep.
What's the number one driving force in the woman in the mirror's life? What is your North Star?
There's a version of myself that I imagine, and it changes every day, every year, but I'm trying to be that girl. I don't feel like her yet. I don't know if I know her all the time, but I have to believe, given just how wild this world is, that she exists and that she's happy and that she's balanced and she has some semblance of peace. And that's who takes me through.
The woman in the mirror has been working for many years behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. And she weaved all of these experience points into a book called South African PR. What are the two most important things new artists need to understand about public relations?
I think the thing that artists, especially newer artists, because this isn't just, for new people, it's for artists in general. The version of artistry and media that we oftentimes grow up watching is not the media and entertainment industry that you're in. People need to like you. And generally speaking, people like people who like themselves. So being able to articulate who you are, what you do, what you enjoy, and how that becomes in your artistry, that's probably the first thing to keep in mind if you're a new artist or any artist really. And the second thing is that nobody is going to tell your story better than you. So it's your responsibility to guide how we interact with you. It's your responsibility to say where you're from and what you do and what your music sounds like. And nobody's going to be able to do that better than you. And that's not to say that you don't need other professionals to work with you. It's to say that you have to set the tone, and thereafter you have to keep reinforcing that tone.
You have worked with some of the biggest acts in the country. What is the number one most common trait that the woman in the mirror thinks every superstar needs to have?
The most common trait that I feel artists need to have is a willingness to engage. There was a time when being aloof and mysterious was, the perfect way to introduce yourself and to maintain a relationship. But there's a difference between being aloof and being cold. And in order to maintain, your artistry, not necessarily that you have to be the song or be the video or be the persona, but you do have to have some charisma. It goes a long way.
What up-and-coming artists does the woman in the mirror think labels, fans, and blogs should look out for in 2023?
I do not do that.
Okay.
The woman in the mirror does not do predictions. It puts a lot of pressure, and to be fair, a lot of our industry is not equipped to offer the type of support that those predictions would thrive in. So you find that every year we say, well, who has next and who has next? But then after making those types of statements, after kind of putting these names into the ether, there's nothing to hold on to for those artists to be able to develop on that good favor.
The woman in the mirror has just been offered a huge movie deal about their life journey. What's the name of the movie, and who would you choose to play you?
I do not know who I would choose to play me, to be fair. Yeah, if I had a movie deal and they were like, well, I need you, we need a working title subject to change. Mad. Life is mad.
If the woman in the mirror wasn't a PR agent and writer, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't a publicist and I wasn't a writer, I would probably still be in the arts. My background is in the creative arts. I started as a dancer. I danced for 10 years in the US. I was a theater kid, and more likely than not, I would still be operating in those spaces.
The woman in the mirror receives an email from Marvel Studios, and they want to make you your very own Marvel character who is a villain. What is the name of this character? What are their superpowers, and what is their reason for wanting to destroy the world?
Her name would be Kira. Her name would be Kira, and their superpower, more likely than not, would be that what she says becomes reality. Their reason for destroying the world, for wanting to destroy the world, more likely than not, I suspect that it would just be disillusionment. It would be frustration and irritation, that concept of, well, if y'all are not going to act right, and because I have no faith in mankind anymore, perhaps all of us just need to go to sleep indefinitely. That would be it.
What is the woman in the mirror's proudest moment?
I suspect my proudest moment would be smuggling a camera into Afropunk's first Johannesburg show, even though they told me that I couldn't. And my co-producer and I, we took the camera apart, we put the lens in one of my makeup bags and the body of the camera at the bottom of my handbag. We shot, the first episode of our web series, Festival Politico's there, and that series was nominated at the 2018 Zanzibar International Film Festival. Fast track to 2022, I became a writer for Afropunk. So that would be more likely than not my proudest moment. In the words of Nicki Minaj, I like to sun folks. I do like to sun folks. It feels good.
What is the woman in the mirror's deepest regret?
My deepest regret is that for a long time, I spent copious amounts of time making my feelings small and then putting them in these boxes in my mind and letting those boxes get full and full and full. And then when things would explode, instead of just breaking down or communicating that something was wrong, I'd clean up the box and put everything away again. And that made me sick.
The woman in the mirror has just won an award. What award did she win, and who did she thank in her acceptance speech?
If I were to have won an award, more likely than not, it would be for something I've written or directed. So anything in way of a VMA, anything in way of a SAFTA. I'd love to win a Toronto Film Festival because I feel like that's the true writer's win when it comes to producing visual works. And I would more likely than not thank myself for not kicking the bucket when I thought I should. And I thank all the people that unknowingly did something or that made space for me. And that list is long, but off the top of my head, my mom and my dad. I would thank my bad bosses. I would thank some of my first clients. I thank some of my most difficult clients. And this is because they've inspired a lot of work. I would thank all of the loves that I've had that passed or that are still, open-ended. I would thank them and I would say bye definitively. I'm like, now I don't want y'all no more. It's done now.
What advice does the woman in the mirror have for anyone trying to make it in the South African entertainment industry?
If I were speaking to somebody who's interested in a career in South Africa's entertainment industry, I would tell them to try and maintain passions outside of producing work. It's so easy as a creative artist to put your entire self into your works and not leave anything for yourself behind. But having hobbies that have nothing to do with your creative outputs are valuable and important. I would encourage them to maintain, a good relationship with a therapist and to go regularly as much as possible.
If aliens were to land on Earth long after we're gone and they stumbled upon the remnants of humanity, how do you think the woman in the mirror will be remembered by our extraterrestrial successors?
I think if aliens ever came across any of my written works, such as my diaries or anything to that effect, they would be, a little shocked, like, why were they living through all of this? But I think all in all, they would be pleased that with what little humanity knew or knows of the world, we were able to make so much and so much beauty specifically. I always, it's funny, sometimes you see an artist or you see an artist of any discipline, and you have to remind yourself, like, that person is of flesh and bone and blood, and they've changed the hearts and minds and psyches of millions of people by merely stringing thoughts together.